On this episode of the Sacred Playgrounds podcast, we're talking to you, camp summer staff members. This episode's for you. We're going to chat through 3 things to focus on during this midsummer time. Welcome to the Sacred Playgrounds podcast, where we turn numbers into stories and data into insights. We dive deep into theology and research, paired with practical wisdom and action steps to help camping ministries thrive. I'm your host and producer, Jared Rendell, a camp enthusiast and part of the Sacred Playgrounds team. This podcast features Dr. Jake Sorensen, a scholar, author, practitioner, and the founder of Sacred Playgrounds. Be sure to subscribe, submit a question to us to be featured on the podcast, and click that support button to help make these episodes happen. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sacred Playgrounds or at sacredplaygrounds.com. Wonder with us what God might have in store at your sacred playground. Hey, welcome to the playground, everyone. Everyone, all you listeners, welcome to the playground. We say that at the beginning of, I think all of our episodes, right, Jake? Like all the way back?
I think so. Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've listened all the way back. So it's possible that we missed it a few times, but that would be a you thing and not because you usually do that intro piece. So
I do. That's right. Welcome to the playground. You all, a special welcome if this is your first time listening, because you might be a summer camp staff member right now, and you might have a leader who said, hey, staff, listen to this, or maybe you're listening to it together right now. Welcome to the playground. That's what we do. We welcome people to our sacred playground here, and we connect stories and people from sacred playgrounds like the one that you're at right now. That's the headline, is you're working at a sacred playground, and what you're doing really matters. And we're going to talk through some about why and how and what. I'm quick here, but we wanted to say hello. My name's Jared. I serve as our director of communications and innovation for Sacred Playgrounds, which is also the name of the organization that we work for. And the other voice you heard is Jake. Hi, Jake.
hey, I'm the director at Sacred Playgrounds, and I am an old school summer staffer. I was on summer staff for, I think, 5 summers at 3 different camps. I was the interim director at one of those. I served in a congregation for a while and was a program director at camp as well. And now I get to travel around and work with staff on staff training and do some evaluations at camp. So I was at like 3 or 4 camps during staff training this year. So I got to meet some of you. Hopefully you're listening, and it's great to connect with you virtually again. So I really enjoy supporting staff and supporting camps and really working to generate insights and connect leaders, and equip you all for your ministry and to connect camps with their ministry partners as well. So that's what we do at Sacred Playgrounds. And we believe that the playground that you are in is a sacred one. It's a place of deep theological meaning and education, and a place where the Spirit of God is present and at work. And we're so thankful for your ministry at this amazing place where you're serving this summer.
Yeah, buddy. So thanks off the bat for what you're doing, for saying yes to this, and for the ministry that you've already done. So for a lot of you, when you're listening to this is probably in the middle of the summer. There are a lot of camps on different timelines, but this is about midsummer. So we wanted to take a quick episode. This is kind of a bonus episode of our season. We take a break from the podcast, but this has been our 4th season. We do that kind of September to May in general. So this is a bonus episode just for you. We wanted to hop on and say hello and give you a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of kind of connection and training, some things to think about and focus on as we're in the middle of the summer now. So that's our plan today. We've got 3 of them. We're going to lift them up, and there's an action step connected to each of them. There kind of always is with whatever we lift up, right? We spend a lot of time thinking about data and analytics and evaluation and doing that. That's a big part of what we do at Sacred Playgrounds. The point of that is never just for sake of some numbers or some ideas, but it's actual application. It's actual application at Sacred Playgrounds like yours that matters. And that means that it really matters to you, right? Because you're the ones, summer staff, and you've got so many people behind you and taking care of you, but you're the ones who are actually making this happen. We talk a lot about how summer staff are the heart of outdoor ministry in particular. So this is for you.
Absolutely. Jared, staff training was always such a special time. I remember doing like 2 weeks before the campers arrived of staff training, and that was such a great time to bond with staff. And I remember as a program director, leading staff training, and that being one of my favorite times of the summer, but then also like getting into the
Amen.
summer and being like, oh man, I wish I had addressed this, or oh, but it's too late. Staff training is done. And the reality is staff training is never done. We're always learning, we're always growing, and hopefully you who are serving in full-time staff and you who are serving in summer staff, remember that this is a time of training as well. There are different things that we continue to grow in and learn during the course of the summer. So that midsummer staff training becomes really, really important. So we're going to hit 3 key topics today.
Yeah. Yeah, closed circuit program directors, executive directors, directors as you're listening to this, and maybe as well, or in preparation before, giving it to your staff. Some reminders, some encouragement to capture these times, right? Pre-week meeting, end of week meeting, is something quick on a couple of, when there's a couple of days off, to insert some things, listening to something like this, bringing back up a certain thing, right? You have had time to understand and listen and react to either, things that have happened or not happened during the summer. And this midsummer time is a really good time to hit them with a little more training and a little more preparation for the next few weeks that are ahead. So like Jake said, we've got 3 of them to maybe lay some of that foundation, and you've got things too, likely. So let's dive into our 3. We are going to be nice and quick so that you've got time to either listen to this at a staff meeting or something like that. So Jake, let's do it. Let's dive in.
Sounds good.
1.
Number 1, remember that you are part of something larger. You and your ministry at camp this summer, it's not a standalone thing. It's part of this much larger ecology of faith formation and other types of spiritual, social, emotional formation that these young people are going through throughout their lives. They're bringing all these things to camp. They're having this amazing experience with you alongside them, and then they're going home. And so what I want you to remember as a frontline staff person is that everything you do at camp always should have an eye towards what's happening back home in those permanent spaces. If we're going to have a lasting impact on these young people, we have to impact their permanent spaces. And that means their home spaces. So much of the literature right now is showing and demonstrating that the home is the primary locus of faith formation. This is where we can never outdo what happens in the home. And that goes with faith formation, but it also goes with emotional, psychological formation, all these pieces. And so we're providing them this safe space, this immersive space at camp. And what we need to do is train them in such a way that they can carry these things back home. So as you're participating in conversations, make sure you're teaching not just the importance of conversations, but how to have those conversations back home, and encourage them to have these with their parents, with their siblings, with their pastor, youth minister, and whomever. When you're talking about worship, how is this intentionally connected to the worship experiences they experience back in their home spaces, at their church back home? And encouraging them to participate in those services after they go back home. When you're doing Bible study, how are you equipping them? Not just getting through a curriculum. How are you equipping them to take this back home so that they open their Bible on their own, so that they open it with their family and do devotions with their family? How are you equipping them and encouraging them in those practices when they go back home? So all of these pieces, prayer, mealtime prayers, are the mealtime prayers you're doing, are they equipping the campers to take them back home? Your evening devotions, are you equipping them to take this back home and influence their family? Because that's where you can have this deep and lasting impact on these young people and their entire supporting network. So remember, you're part of something much, much larger. You're a partner alongside the parents, and you're a partner alongside the churches, the teachers, the coaches. And so keep that in mind and treat those folks as such. Even when you might not love the situation that these young people are going back to, you can't outdo that. You can't change that. So speak positively and optimistically and encouragingly about those spaces and how the young people can have impacts on those spaces.
Yeah, it's interesting. The change of perspective, and I did not have this when I was a summer staff member. I spent four college summers, a couple years full time running summer camps, and I did not have this perspective, if I'm really honest. The idea that my camper isn't my end user, actually, at least not just the only end user. Right? The impact is extending beyond that. And I did not have that in my head. And that has been so interesting for me to learn we've got this effective camp research. That's like what we call the main, the heart of a lot of the research that we're doing on campers in particular, camper experience, mission effectiveness for our camps. And one of the questions that rooted that whole thing was, is camp effective? Is camp impactful? And does it last? And thankfully, we're learning it does over and over again. Every summer, we keep learning that camp has lasting impacts. That's really good news, you guys. And know that it does. So there is a next step for them. There is a permanent space for them, and it's lasting into those experiences. It's mattering at home, in church, and school. And so the more you are intentional about that, the more you remember that that's happening. When you train them, not just as the one getting an experience, but as a bit of a trainer then that can go impact. Now we call that discipleship, right? Like that's a thing we do in the church, right?
Yep. And that's why this next project that we've been working on the last couple of years is called Rhythms of Faith. We're trying to get in rhythm with the camp experience and the home experience and the church experience. How can we partner with these organizations so that we're on the same beat, so that we're doing some of the same things and having the same rhythms? Because I was like you as a summer staff member. When that youth minister or pastor would come, I thought they were trying to outdo me as a counselor, and I thought I had to be really cool and be up there and be the loud person. They're your partner. They're not competing with you. Your goal should be to make them look awesome, so that the young people go home and see their pastor as somebody who they can talk with and they can interact with. And so if you've got pastors or youth ministers coming to camp, that's a blessing. And thank them for being there. And remember that they're your partner.
All right, there's one. You're part of a bigger picture. We always love seeing it with Holy Ground too, with this devotion. Maybe some of you are going through Holy Ground, like that idea that there are thousands of you doing the same thing. Maybe even listening to this right now, that are on that same mission. That's great. So there's one. You're part of something bigger. Don't forget that.
Number 2, remember, it's that camper's first week of the summer. Remember that, you guys. The campers get one session, the vast majority of them. They're there for a week or a partial week. Maybe they got a 2-week session, but they're there once. You're there the whole summer. I know it's repetitive. It gets tiring. It gets exhausting. I got to do this skit again. I got to sing this song again. It's that camper's one opportunity to be there. Remember that. Keep that in mind. You're there for those campers, and make sure that your energy level is there, that your enthusiasm is there, and that you're keeping in mind the reason for the ministry. And that's to impact each of these individual campers that come. One of the things that I think we could actually make this the stat of the week, if we want, Jared.
Yeah, let's do it.
Stat of the week. Stat of the week. Stat of the week.
All right. The stat of the week this week. Satisfaction with the camp experience is statistically less positive in the midsummer weeks.
Whew. So the midsummer slump is legit. Like
the midsummer slump is legit. It's not just summer staff either, because that carries over to the camper experience. We see this in the parent surveys. We see this in the camper surveys. Now, I want to emphasize, it's not at every camp, but we've done these surveys at 95 different camps all over the country and in Canada. And what we see is that there's this pattern that comes out in the data. We can actually see those midsummer weeks, kind of if you're a 6-week program, those kind of weeks 4 and 5. If you're an 8 or 9 week program, kind of those weeks 6 and 7, where it's like we're getting near the end, but we're not quite there. It's not the last week yet. So we're not giving it our all. We're conserving energy, or we're tired, whatever. We actually see a slump in the satisfaction level of parents and of campers in terms of, are they having fun? Are they satisfied with the experience? Those sorts of things. So it's affecting their experience. And this is something that we really have to take note of, because we want every camper who comes to camp to have an amazing, positive experience, opens the space for them to see God at work, opens the space for them to have a great time, to be in a safe space, to encounter new people, to participate in these new activities in this sacred playground that is your camp. And so make sure that each and every camper has a positive experience. It's their first week.
Yeah, Given week one energy is a big deal. That idea of like that you do this over and over again, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
it's natural for that to weigh on you. That made me think of, so last week my wife and I got to go to a concert. We got to go to a James Taylor concert.
JT, man, I love them.
So
I
good.
love that guy. Oh, he's so good.
Yeah. And he's been doing this for a year or 60. He's 70 something. You're right. He's been doing this a long time. And he was introing this song, and that was written by Carole King. And he said, I heard this song for the first time and I loved it. I was so energized about it. I went and grabbed my guitar. I said, I got to learn this. I got to learn this right away. Little did I know I'd be singing it every night of my life for the next 50 years. Right. So you've got a friend has been played at his shows for endless amounts of time. It was pretty funny to hear that. But yet then he started playing, and he started playing with time one energy, right? Because it's somebody's first time. We do that too. Like we do that, when I work with camps and churches on like website builds or marketing things, always assume it's someone's first time. Always work for that first time person, right? Everyone else who it's not, they're going to feel it, remember it, get called back, whatever it is. But assume it's their first time. Assume it's their first week ever. Not just their first week this summer. Assume it's their first week ever in what you say and how you do it and how you explain, and especially in the energy that you give. So
absolutely.
It's week one, because it is. It's week one ever for someone, almost surely. So Yep, that's good.
Awesome.
All right, Jake, there's two. Last one.
Remember that your fellow staff members are exhausted. I know that many of you get tired in the middle of the summer, exhausted, drained, burnt out even, and a lot of other people are feeling that as well. Some people are very external and are able to share it, and some people keep that internal. But everybody has a level of fatigue at this portion of the summer. And that's where we see that midsummer slump, is when we're feeling that tired, we want to conserve energy, or we want to take a break, or do whatever, hang out with our fellow staff members rather than the campers. And so remember that everybody is tired and they need you. Sometimes the way that our culture often works, and the way that we talk about it sometimes, is like, we've got to take care of ourselves. We've got to turn in on ourselves. Camp is a place where we turn outwards and we turn towards other people. And in Christianity, that's what we do. We give of ourselves. Now, this doesn't mean that we need to, go until we drop. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when we share our energy, our enthusiasm, our words of support with one another, we build one another up. So rather than saying, I'm going to turn in on myself, or I'm going to take a mental health day, whatever that is, how can we see that person who's struggling and reach out to them and say some kind words, or go out of our way to do something a little extra special? It might be a note of encouragement. It might be some taking their tasks or doing something, a random act of kindness for that person. Yes, even when you are tired, because this will energize you for your mission, and it will mean the world to that person. And if we were all able to do that for one another, imagine how much we can all be lifted up. It's really hard when you're exhausted, when you're not at your best, when you're burnt out, to lift yourself up. So if you turn in on yourself and say, I just need to do this, that's not always productive, especially in a camp environment. What's often productive is saying, what can I do for that other person? How can I make their day more special? And make sure that they don't get to that exhaustion point that I feel like I'm at, right? And when we encourage one another, we all make it. We don't have to fake it. We actually make it. And we feel great about doing it. And that's the sort of accomplishment that I want us all to feel, and the sort of community that I want us to feel. When we do our surveys of the summer staff members, pre-summer, post-summer, and look at growth and experience and all those things, one of the most important factors in having a positive experience, but also growing in, emotionally, in their faith and their self-confidence, all those things, is the frequency that they are able to say, when I felt down, exhausted, or not at my best, other staff members stepped up and helped. Like, that's what we need. We need you to be that person for your fellow staff people, and trusting and being willing to accept that support from others.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is, well, Jake, you're a runner. Like, I'm wearing my baseball coaching hat right now. Like, this is what we do in a lot of our other activities, right? Whether it's, athletics often, especially, or things like that. Like, the reality is we're breaking down. This is what happens when you work out, when you run hard, right? There's a point in every marathon where like things are broken down and you have to
Mile 20.
kind of settle in, right?
Yep.
There it is, right? So all the runners are like, yep, mile 20. But like that's actually happening here, right? So we're running hard, you're breaking down. In body, yes, for sure. In mind and spirit, you're breaking down. And so leaning out, right? In the community, out of self, in the community, knowing the things that are nutrition for us. If we want to, keep going on in that analogy, some literally actually, like if you find that your eating is not going well, that will contribute to the tired and the exhaustion. So like at this point, those basic needs of eat well, rest well, right? And serve well, right? To Jake's point about taking care of each other. If
and that's
you will
the
do
important
that,
piece, because when you're exhausted, you don't always know what's good for you. You need somebody to see your exhaustion and bring you that cup of water or Gatorade or the orange slice or whatever
Right.
it is when you're running. But it's in the summer too. If you're not eating well, or if your fellow staff member isn't eating well, see that and identify that. If they're not taking care of themselves, if they're not getting the rest they need, step in for them, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Lean out. Notice those things in one another, and that will help lift us all up.
Amen. All right, there's 1, 2, 3. Quick to hit him again. You're part of something bigger. You are part of a bigger ecology, part of a larger community, part of a larger mission. And that's really good news. 2, it's someone's first time. So bring week 1 energy. 3, your friends are breaking down. They're exhausted. And so the first thing you can do is take good care of each other. Yes, care for yourself. Eat well, rest well. Lean out of self into each other. And then you will have a whole community of people taking care of you. And the math says a whole community of people taking care of you is better than just you taking care of yourself. So those are our 3 things.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a simple math problem, right?
It's simple math.
It's simple
Instead
math.
of everybody just taking care of themselves. That's one person.
And then I get one person taking care of me, right? I do that with my kids, actually.
Yeah.
I get one person if I just only focus on myself, if I lean only into myself, then I get one person taking care of me, right? If I lean out and everybody else leans out, now I've got look around the room, right? If you're listening to this with staff, look around the room.
Count the
I'd
heads.
rather have all them taking care of me. They're better at it, actually, usually, than I am taking care of myself. So,
amen to that. Amen to that.
So lean out. Yeah. So those are our 3. We're going to leave you with just some simple, encouraging reminders that what you're doing does really matter. Wherever you're at, however you're feeling, whatever your level of tired and exhausted is, whatever your level of, I don't know if I can keep going, whatever your level of energy is, that what you're doing, all that you have to give, it really matters. And you have enough. And it doesn't just come from you. It comes from each other, and it comes from Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
God does a lot of equipping and will not stop. So you do your next right thing. You connect with your next camper. You serve each other like we've been talking about. Be reminded that what you're doing really does matter, both in the stories and in the data that we collect, that it's having actual impact, and that impact is lasting. So keep going.
Friends, we sometimes say that, camp is a faith immersion experience, that it's in the very air we breathe. The Spirit is all around us. We're more aware of God's presence. So breathe in, friends. Breathe in the Spirit. Know that you are surrounded and lifted up and empowered. And take some time to notice where God is at work today. Take some time to notice those small things that make people smile. Take some time to go out of your way to do that little extra special act of love and kindness to that person that you encounter today. That'll make all the difference. You are doing God's good work. You are called, you're equipped, and you've got this. Have a great rest of the summer. Thank you for your amazing ministry. And I can't wait to hear all of the stories about the amazing ministry that you're doing.
You got this. Thanks for listening to the Sacred Playgrounds podcast. Thanks for listening to the Sacred Playgrounds podcast. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sacredplaygrounds or at Sacred Playgrounds on Instagram. Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe button wherever you're getting this podcast. And if you like this content and it's helpful, you can support the podcast by clicking that support button. Our theme music was written and performed by Taylor Wilson. You can find all his original songs wherever you get your music. Learn more about what we're up to and connect with the team at sacredplaygrounds.com.